Hey guys, welcome back. Let me go ahead and set up this room real quick, and then I will send out the link for you guys here in the premium. Let's go there. There. A few more things here, and we should be. Cool. All right, perfect. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here. All right, link is sent out. All right, guys. Welcome back, guys. I'll let people join in, and then once people are in, I will get started with the mentoring session for today. Let's copy this, save. Might as well send out the email while I'm waiting. William said that really felt good to me this win. Yeah, I know it's a nice comeback, right? It's a bounce back from on the crappy days we've had lately. So yeah, no, for sure. I can definitely see where your relief is coming from. Yeah, exactly. Like you said, yeah, be on Apex Live and all that. Exactly. Yeah, no, it's good. The thing is, I kind of knew that it was going to happen already. Like, if you run these statistics and you guys understand like the probability of like that strategy, the breakout B3 never really loses back to back twice. So I already had a feeling like the entry that came up today was going to hit. I was like, it has to hit because it's going to go against all that we know about the strategy, right? So yeah, I'm glad that it hit, and I already had a feeling that it was going to hit because it doesn't lose more than twice. You just have to use probability to decide whether you trust it or not. I'm very data driven, so or something like that. I kind of had a feeling that that was the case. Um, all right, let me just post this up real quick, guys, in the announcements channel. This is live from today, and then I'll post this up as well. So if people want to join, you're welcome. All right, cool. So welcome back, guys. Looks like majority of you guys are here so far for whoever wanted to join in. I don't know if you guys have any specific questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I don't think there's really any need to cover the breakout B3 entries for this week because they're all pretty much self-explanatory and you guys understand them, straight to the T. So what I'll do here first is I'll go over the question that I was just covering with John earlier. He was asking, what contract size do I start when I get funded on a 150K account? And And how do I increase my contract size? So I'll put it over here real quick. Fresh, so let's say fresh 150K Apex funded account. Start with 10 contracts. The reason why I do that is because it's a 1,250 risk divided by 5,000 trailing drawdown equals 4 back-to-back losses until lose account. So this is pretty much like why I start with a 10 contract, and then I only increase contract size when trailing drawdown and surplus. That makes sense to you guys. So that's pretty much how I do it. I start with 10 contracts just like I do with any of the evals. The reason why I stay at 10 contracts with the evals is because your trailing drawdown doesn't increase. So yeah, basically I'll start at 10 contracts, and then when my trailing drawdown goes past 5,000, then I can start risking more, right? That's typically where I go. So like, for example, for 4 back-to-back losses with a $5,000 trailing drawdown, I can use 1,250 risk. I was at a point where my trailing drawdown was like 7,000. So I was able to risk more, and I started taking 17 contracts. The risk was higher, but the reward is higher as well. So I started taking higher and higher contracts because I had higher trailing drawdown. So I don't really mess with it until my trailing drawdown has, kind of increased a little bit. Because the last thing you want to do is get caught in that point where you can blow your account by making like one silly mistake. So for the most part, this is exactly how I do it. I'll start at 1,250 risk so that I can lose 4 back-to-back trades. And then I just increase my contract size depending on, where my trailing drawdown is at that point. So like, for example, right now, my trailing drawdown has increased to 5,980. So with my trailing drawdown at that point, now I can increase my contract size, or I can leave it as is. So like, for example, right now, 5,980. What I'm looking for here is I'm looking to see where I can lose 3 trades back to back because I have a win from today, right? So I'm just looking for 3 trades now because I keep track of like where my wins and losses are. I'm currently at a 1 drawdown right now. So I'm able to increase my contract size to the point where I can lose 3 back to back. That's where it would bring me back to break even. Or like to the point where I was prior to Wednesday and Thursday loss. So for example, if I'm going to divide this by 2,125, I'm like, this is too small because I can only lose twice. So I can't use 17 contracts on that trade. 5,980, divide that by 2,000. I'm like, okay, I could lose about 3 trades on that. So that's okay. I could probably use 16 contracts, or if I want to be conservative, I'll use 15. Because if I do 5,980 divided by 1,875, then I could lose more than 3 trades. Right. So that's kind of how I calculate it. And that's pretty much how exactly. Kenny said with proper risk management, you should never blow your account. And say, for example, if we lost the trade today, I would have just halved my contract size even more. So instead of doing what I was doing before, I would have I don't even know what my drawdown was, but I'd say my drawdown was probably like at 2,000 at that point. My drawdown's at 2,000 and I want to lose half of that. I'm going to take 8 contract because 8 contract is 1,000 risk. So I can just divide that by 1,000. Okay, I can lose 2 trades back to back. If I lose another trade and my drawdown is now at 1,000, right? What do? The same thing. I just go for half the contract size. Now I can only risk 500. Now I go to like maybe 2 or 3 contracts. So I can pretty much inch my way up until I get to that very point. But at that point, you shouldn't blow the account because you're never really going to have like some crazy losing streaks with the breakout V3. So as long as you use proper risk management, you should be able to dig yourself out of that hole. It's going to take some time if you're too deep in the hole, but if you keep yourself at a 4 to 5 trade minimum of back-to-back losses, you should have no problem. So just keep that in mind, guys, moving forward. That's why I'm never really stressed out about the positions. I kind of just let them play through, and they typically do at the end of the day. So let me scroll up real quick, and then let me see if there's anything else that I'm missing. So Ryan is asking over here, what other brokers did you add to your copier? Have you looked at Elite Trader Funding? I've actually never heard of Elite Trader Funding. Let me see if I can pull them up right now. I've added Top Step Trader and Take Profit Trader. The problem is that they don't accept copiers unless they're the main account. So I'm just having one account with them right now. I'm going to see if I run into any problems with them, because if technically you're not supposed to be using a copier. So my main thing that I'm looking for is that the company allows for NinjaTrader, and the company, because I don't want to use different platforms. I just want to add them to my copier. So the first step is the funding company has to run NinjaTrader. If they don't run NinjaTrader, I'm not even going to bother. And then the second thing is the copier, because a lot of these companies don't let you use copiers. But let me check Elite Trader. I've never heard of Elite Trader Funding. But I do have a list of the companies that I am using or I'm planning on using. So I already have a list of like the ones that I want to add on at some point, and I'm still building a list from there. So let's see, Elite Trader Funding. Of course, Take Profits number one. Elite Trader Funding, okay. 90% profit. Okay, so I don't really care about this stuff. I don't care about the split. I don't care about anything. What I care about is if they're on NinjaTrader, which they are. So with that said, okay, this might be added to my list. The other thing that I need to look at is, okay, what's the max contract size? There's a couple different things that I look at. I try to see if they have a contract cap. Because if they have so here's a thing too. If you look at their trailing drawdown, there's some companies that don't have the trailing drawdown doesn't stop. Like it just keeps following it. With Apex, it stops. So that's a good thing, right? We want it to stop because you want to have bigger risks. You can take bigger contract sizes. But there's a bit of a criteria that I look for. See, like there's so many options here. I don't like when there's so many options because they try to trick you. They try to get you to sign up for the wrong one, and then they don't give you a refund. So you have to like really look at this very carefully. So I just kind of I match it up with the other evals. So like let's see. I think this is a standard. The standard is about 4,500 max drawdown, max position size of 18, daily loss limit. See, I don't like this when there's a daily loss limit. There's a couple of things here that kind of stick out to me. Profit targets is normal. That's what it's supposed to be. It has less drawdown, the daily loss limit. The only thing that I'm like kind of curious about is their trailing drawdown, end of day drawdown. Funded accounts also have, see, this is the thing that I don't like. I don't like when they have end of day drawdown because like with Apex, my drawdown right now is about 6,000. It stops and then just goes higher. For this here, your end of day drawdown is capped. So you can't really go higher in contract size, especially if you're taking something like the breakout V3. So Elite Trader might be on the lower end of the ones that I want to take unless I see something here better. There's max drawdown. So this one here, okay, one step. Intraday. This might be better. They have so many options here that I have to look at it, but I haven't really looked at this one in detail. But the main things I look for are trailing drawdown if they stop. Well, first is NinjaTrader. They gotta for sure be on NinjaTrader. Second, they have to allow copiers because I'm not going to trade this alone. Third, the end of the trailing drawdown. And fourth, there's just like little other things. I don't really care about the max drawdown or the end of trailing drawdown as long as it gets uncapped because I can just calculate it. Just like I said earlier with John's question, there's I just adjust it with whatever risk I have at that time or at that specific day. So yeah, I haven't looked at them yet, Ryan, but they do look good. So I'm going to add them to my list, and then I will let you guys know if this is one that I plan on using. The only two that I'm using right now is Top Step and Take Profit because they're two of like the more well-known ones. So I'm not worried about them kind of scamming me or anything like that. You guys got to keep in mind that like with a lot of people moving over to futures, there's going to be a lot of other scam. There's going to be a lot of scammers out there. So let me add this to the list. This one over here is called Elite Trader Funding. All right, cool. Yeah, so I got Apex, Top Step, Top Take Profit Trader. My funded futures is one of them too. So my funded futures is probably one of the next ones that I might be looking to use. They allow for 3 simulated funded and 1 live funded. It's a little expensive. There's no discounts with them. That's one that I'm not geared towards yet, but eventually, yeah. There's one called Blue Sky, one called One Up Trader, and one called Trade Day. Trade Day sucks, but but I mean it's just an extra account to add to the copier. So, all right, let me scroll down a little bit. William said, I don't have any questions today. I do say that I love entering trades on Apex though. Yeah, 100%. Very crisp, very smooth, very nice. William said, I'll send a list of firms in a moment. Found on the interweb last week. Yeah, no, definitely. William said, prolonged wealth. Here's another one. I haven't seen this one before. Oh, this is a list of the prop firms. Oh, yeah, a lot of them are kind of on my list already. I mean, literally all of them are on my list. I did my research on this too. Thanks, William, for this here. I'll take a look at this, but most of them are on my list already. I heard of Bullnox too. I know somebody else who uses them and they're supposed to be good, so I'll take a look at Bullnox. There's a whole bunch, guys. But here's the thing that I want to remind you guys, don't get too ahead of yourself, right? Get your payouts on Apex first. Don't just try to open a bunch of different funding companies because the last thing you want to do is get too ahead of yourself and then you blow all the accounts. Because I'm sure that's happened to you guys before and you guys have seen that happen to a lot of others, right? Don't get too ahead of yourself, guys. Focus on Apex, get funded. Even myself, I'm gonna get funded, and then once I'm done and well, I'm already funded, but once I get my max payouts on those accounts, I'm gonna transfer them over to 300K accounts. So my main goal first is to focus on Apex because they're known to pay, and I trust Apex. So don't go on this like spree to find all these different prop firms because you're gonna get too focused on getting greedy and you're gonna start making mistakes because it's a lot of work to manage all these accounts. Like even for me, every day I have to calculate my contract size to determine what am I going to take tomorrow or what am I going to take on Monday. And it's not an easy job. So, one mistake, you take a wrong contract size, your account's blown. So just keep that in mind, guys. Don't get too ahead of yourself. Let me scroll down a little bit. Yeah, Patricia said, yeah, it's really important to watch your lot sizes, especially since we had 2 losses in a row. Listen to Sean. Yeah, you have to like, if you're on your eval or if you're on a brand new account, just stay at 10 contracts if you're on 150K. Don't increase and don't decrease until you make it past the the threshold. Once you go past the 5,000 threshold, then okay, you can start increasing your contract size slightly. Not a lot, but slightly. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Patricia said Elite's the one that she's using and they're good. Okay, good to know. Shannon's asking, you mentioned rolling your accounts from 150K to 300K. How does that work? So with Apex, what I plan on doing is for the first 3 months, you guys know that the payouts are capped. So I'm going to do my max payouts for the first 3 months. That's about 55,000 every 2 weeks. So across all my accounts. Once my first account gets its last max payout, or in the middle of that time period, like probably a month, by the time I get to my 3rd month, I'm going to start 300K challenges or 300K evals because you still need to pass the evals. So I'm going to pass the evals and then they're going to be sitting in my funded account just waiting to be paid for. And then as soon as I get my last payout, I'm going to sign my contract for the 300K. I'm going to cancel my 150K and I'm just going to roll it over. So it's just going to take its place. So one of my funded accounts is just going to disappear. And then one of my 300K accounts is going to take its place. Pretty simple, but I'm trying to do it where it kind of overlaps. So I don't have to have any time period where I don't have any profit coming in. I want to make sure that I'm getting my profit every single payout. And and then I can just roll them over. Because right now I'm 3 million in funding. So if I could get all 300Ks, it's gonna be 6 million in funding. So instead of me making 55,000 every 2 weeks, I'll be making over 100,000 in 2 weeks from the capped payout. And then after that, I'll have more profit. So uh, it's just a process that I'm going to be working towards. Not right now. So April, May, June, July. Okay, so probably in July I'll start to run my 300K accounts closer to July, and then by July I'll have hopefully the bigger accounts by then. PC's asking, can you use your copier with NinjaTrader or TradeAway mobile app? I don't even know how to use the mobile app PC, so I have no idea. I've never used a mobile app for anything. So, what I've seen with other people is if you have the copier opened on your computer or on a BPS, some people still execute the trades on TradingView or TradeAway. So I'm assuming if you have it on, like if you have the copier on and you execute the trade like the master account on whatever platform you're on, it'll still copy, but you have to have the actual copier on. So super necessary that you have the copier on because that's what's copying the trades. I don't know for sure though, so you'd have to either test it or find somebody who's done it before. John's asking, what do you think of Bullnox, Sean? Let me check Bullnox. I've looked at Bullnox, but I haven't actually used them before. I know somebody else who live streams that uses them. He says they're okay, but they're not like great. Okay, so Bullnox over here. I was trying to figure out if they use NinjaTrader, which I think they do, but I know there's another YouTube streamer who uses them. Connection. Okay, so here's the problem with Bullnox. So over here, Bullnox requires you to sign up through Rhythmic. The problem with that is that I'm already signing on through Rhythmic for my Top Step account. So I think Bullnox is good, but it kind of conflicts because I need to figure out how you can log into multiple Rhythmics at once. Because I have one Rhythmic that's for my Top Step, and I can't have two Rhythmics at once unless I figure out a way to log into both. Because for this here, you can see you have to choose Bullnox to log into your Rhythmic, and then when I log into Rhythmic through my it just becomes a little complicated. So I think Bullnox is good, but I haven't figured out a way to log into multiple R traders at once. Because some of them require that you log into R Trader first before you log into NinjaTrader, which is kind of annoying, but I gotta find a workaround for that. Gotcha. So Patricia said that Elite Trader funding allows for NinjaTrader and copy trading. So that might be my next step then, if that's the case. Let me go over here real quick. Ross is asking, do you use a new NinjaTrader account for every prop firm, or is there a way to combine? No. So I have my own NinjaTrader license, and I just add them to the connections. So you know, on the top where it has connections, you can just put in your login information there for like all the other prop firms that allow for it, and then they just end up on your list. That's why for all my profits over here, I actually accidentally posted my profits from Top Step on here. But you can see my Top Step is down here. It's slightly different. The profit's different, and you can see it doesn't show the weekly P&L. So this is my personal account. That's another account from NinjaTrader. These are all my Apex. This is my Top Step, and there was another one below here with my profit for what's that thing called? For Take Profit Trader. I just forgot to cut it out, but yeah, you just add them to your connections, Ross, and then you have all your accounts listed here, and they all just copy over. So you don't have, well, I have one login, but I also paid for my license. The license is 1,000. Well, I paid for a lifetime license. It was 1,500, but you get better commissions. Like I think I saved like 70%, 70 cents per contract per entry. So like, for example, I'm executing. So I have like over 20 accounts, right? So I have like, and the contracts are like, I'm saving 70%. So like say 70 times, I don't know, like 22 times two ways, right? So I'm saving like 30 bucks per contract per way. And then we're taking like 5 trades a week. So I'm saving like about 100 bucks a week with commissions. So I just paid for the lifetime fee. You would have to have your own license to run it, Ross, because that's one big thing that Apex, like, they get really pissed about that. They have like in caps on their FAQs, like you have to use your own license if you want to copy it to like other accounts, which is not a big deal. $1,000 is a steal for what you're getting. All right, let me scroll down real quick. Shannon said, when is the last day of mentoring exactly? So we don't really have a last day. I think so. Once the mentoring is done with, guys, I'll still have mentoring sessions with you guys. I don't plan on starting another group. So, I mean, you guys are pretty much the mentoring group moving forward. So it'll probably extend. The thing with before was if I was going to start another cycle, I'd have to like focus on them, of course. But since I'm not planning on starting another mentoring cycle, at least not anytime soon, we'll keep having like weekly, if not every other week, meetings to cover everything. But you guys have been doing great. So I'm happy to see you guys here who are actually part of the mentoring group, the incubator. You guys are killing it. Like Kevin over here, 76% win rate, climbing his way back up. We have Nikki over here, 82% win rate. Nathan over here, 72% winner. You guys are killing it. So everybody's doing pretty good. Not everybody here is only taking the breakout. So win rates are always going to be slightly different, but you guys are doing pretty solid so far. So I think you guys are good, but we will continue to have mentoring sessions either, if not every week, it's going to be every other week until I start a new cycle. Gotcha, PC. Okay, so Patricia said, Sean, 2 different computers and 2 different Ninja licenses under one personal, one under business. Oh, okay. Good to know, Patricia. I'll probably do that too. That actually sounds like a good idea. James is asking, do you set a stop loss or a mental stop loss? I've never set a mental stop loss in my life. I would never recommend you guys do that. I mean, you guys can. If you guys are swing trading, it makes sense. But if you're day trading, I would never recommend setting a mental stop loss. That's how people blow their accounts. So just keep that in mind. For the trades, we always have a set TP stop loss. And I would never recommend you do a mental stop loss for scalping or day trading. For swing trading, okay, it makes sense because you're not going to exit the trade, that same day. But for trades within like the same intraday period, I for sure would recommend using the stop loss. I always use TP stop loss. I never have anything just offset. Yeah, no, exactly. Shannon said, good to know where we are the group. I need to take my time. Yeah, definitely, Shannon. There's no rush, right? There's no rush to get funded. I mean, we're actually ahead of schedule right now. So almost everybody in the mentoring group has been funded. We're barely in March, right? This mentoring group is supposed to run until May. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you guys are not funded yet, or if you guys haven't gotten your payouts yet, just take it steady. Not every time is going to be a crazy win streak, right? Sometimes we're going to have some super win streaks. Sometimes we're going to have some back and forth like this week, but hopefully next week is going to be a lot smoother. Let me check the calendar actually to see what we have on Monday. So we have new home sales. Okay, so I think next week will be a lot smoother. A lot of the news happens pre-market, and the news that happens during the market is like kind of spread out. So it's not like this week where they're kind of like in between our trades, except for Thursday. Thursday is like the only day that you have Chicago PMI and home sales. So if the entry doesn't come up by 7, we'll be good. It'll be smooth. And then of course, Friday's Powell's going to speak. And the week after that's going to be NFP. But yeah, so there's not going to be a new mentoring group for any time within the next couple of months. I'm still studying for my Series 3 test. So I got to keep studying. I actually haven't studied in a couple of days. I got to study for that today. And then we're going to hopefully start the hedge fund soon. So hopefully by the end of the year, hedge fund will be up and running. And it'll be smooth sailing from there, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, if there's any other questions, guys, feel free to put them in the chat. I know typically we cover the breakout V3s or the PRVs during these mentoring sessions, but it doesn't seem like anybody's really taking the PRVs anymore, aside from a few people, and the people who are taking them do understand the strategy. So there's not really too much to cover. One last thing I'll do here before I get off. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But before I get to that point, I'm going to go and update the spreadsheet here so that you guys can see where we currently are for the week and for the month. We're actually doing very, very good for the week and for the month. Entry happened at 7:37, kind of late today. So 7:37. It was for a sell entry. It was a win, 25-1 BB3 right here. So it's a great way to close the week because I know the last two losses kind of hurt a little bit because we haven't had losses in so long. But overall, if you guys look at the data here, the data is pretty incredible. If you guys see what we were able to produce this week or this month. So we have 13 wins, 3 losses, 250. Is this right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so 13 wins, 3 losses, 250-point profit, total trades of 16 trades with a win-loss ratio of 81.3%. This is only from taking one strategy a day and coming out super heavy in profit. I think last month would have been super heavy in profit too if we didn't take all these PRV entries, because these right here would have been skipped out, right? If we didn't take this PRV, we would have had like way more wins if we didn't take these PRVs over here, which is fine. And I'm kind of glad that we're doing this now here so that we can understand, okay, this is when the BB3 is hot. So if it's not hot in the summer, we'll just apply it like early in the year, later in the year, and then we'll come back to it. We'll come back to our normal scalps during the summer. But I'm glad that the stats here are really reflecting the strategy that we kind of we kind of assumed that would play through. So yeah, I mean the stats are great for a one-to-one strategy. Typically, one-on-one strategies are supposed to be around like 50% to 60% win-loss ratio. We're at 81, so it's pretty good. 81 going on 82. So we got another week left of March. We'll wrap this month off, and then we'll see where we'll go from there. So, all right, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I think we covered everything that we needed today. I don't think there's much else to cover. Couple Forex trades here. I didn't get into these trades, so I was looking at them. Missed out on these here. Yeah, they both hit full TP. Bummer, but it's okay. I was in San Diego yesterday. I had to go get I gotta go to the dentist like every 2 months, 3 months, 2-3 months for cleaning. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to take my Forex trades yesterday. Let's see, question from Kenny. Kenny's asking, do you think you will ever adjust the BB3 entry if need be once we have enough data, or keep it as is? Yeah, so once we have enough data, like, we just talked about this with Josh, because Josh was like, oh, now I understand why you can't make adjustments because we don't have enough losses. I mean, if that's the case and we don't have enough, if we don't get many losses, Kenny, and it just continues to be consistent every month, I think if we stay above like a 60% win-loss ratio every single month, I don't think anything needs to be changed. I think it'll just be, we'll keep it as is. If it goes below a 50% win-loss ratio, then at that point, okay, we need to start thinking, okay, what do we need to change? Does TP stop loss need to be bigger? Does it need to be smaller? Do we need to use a different confluence? There's different things that can come into play, but just looking, so if we just pull up these BB3s from this week or from this month, and we try to pick out like, okay, what's a pattern here that shows that we're losing, right? There's really no pattern here. So it's always kind of difficult to identify, what will be the case here. The only thing I can see here is probably the trend, but if we use the trend every time, we're going to miss a lot of the other good entries. So let's see if there's any other entries here where price went against the trend. Okay, so like for example here, see this one that was right before, Kenny? This was a downwards trend, right? But it still hit TP. So that's why I can't really use that yet. This right here was in a range. This was, I think that was in a downwards trend though. Yeah, see, Kenny said, okay, I was wondering because it seems like past couple losses were against the trend. Yeah, I agree too. But you can see over here, like a lot of these over here as well. Like this one was in an upwards trend and we took the sell and it still hit. So I don't think trend is something that's the only thing that I can think of that could be the change, right? Trend or bias, because the last 2 trades, the trend was, we were against the trend and the bias because retail sentiment was super heavy and we took a sell and unfortunately went against us. For example, today, the retail sentiment was still super high, but we still took the sell, right? And still hit. So yeah, I mean, we need some more data before we can really decide if that's going to be the change that we need. Otherwise, if the win-loss ratio stays high, I'm okay with eating those losses, right? I'll eat the loss when it happens here and there. As long as you use proper risk, you should be able to come back up. Because the last thing I want to do is change the strategy, and then it goes for another win streak, and then we miss the whole win streak because we're too scared. Because we're like, oh, we're not going to take it because it's against the trend, right? So yeah, exactly. We got to test. We got to keep applying it. I think for this, at least for this, the rest of this year, and then we'll make adjustments. But the market's always changing, so maybe in some instances there might be other factors. Yeah, like Josh, the last two losses were around news, but not enough data to change the strat. Yeah, exactly. Because we can avoid news if we wanted to, but then again, we start to skip trades. And the problem with Apex is that you have to take 10 trades per withdrawal. So if you want to withdraw every 2 weeks, you got to take a trade every single day because if you do them, it's 2 weeks, right? So there's 2 weeks between first payout and 2 weeks between second payout. So it's a total of 5 days each, 5 days a week. So you have to take a trade every single day in order for you to get a payout every 2 weeks. So it's kind of tricky. It's like, okay, do I want to pay out this week? Do I want to chill for this week? But for me personally, I would just take every trade and then get my payouts. And then, if worse comes to worse and I blow an account for some reason, I'll just open another account. At least I have the cash from those accounts versus having less. So yeah, let's see. So Randy here said I compiled data from January, February, and March for the BB3, and the common pattern for losses were different for each month. I figured it's got to do with the market conditions as well. Yeah, and I agree with you too, Randy. I think this week was just kind of tricky because of the news, and then the market was ranging super heavily. That it's always slightly different. So I think it's best to just apply it as is, and we'll go from there. I mean, at least now we have markups and data so that we can actually use that to see, okay, this is what needs to be done or this is what needs to be changed. Yeah, thanks for that, Randy. That's good to know. So like, I'm glad that some of you guys here are paying attention to it and you guys are actually understanding, okay, this is what needs to be done or this is what's been happening between those certain months. So, I mean, it's fine. You guys don't have to worry about it. When we need changes, I'll make the change and I'll make the executive decision to make the change. But for the most part, I think we're good. Exactly. Yeah, Kenny said stick to the 1-1 R, and we should be good in the long run. I agree. As long as we stay above 50% win rate and we're green every single month, I think it's gonna be a great year, guys. I'm still pretty excited. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are excited. Because I think we found something that can last a really, really long time. And that's why I'm getting closer and closer to closing the group. As soon as I get the hedge fund running, guys, the group's going to close down. So again, if you guys know anybody that wants to do this with us and trade with us, and if you guys want the tools, just keep it in mind. I think the first thing to go is going to be the indicators. So if you guys don't have the indicators, make sure that you guys get them if you want them, because those are the first things to go. Because the last thing I want is for somebody to have access to this momentum indicator, and then they just start selling this on massive waves, right? Like imagine if I was doing this, but with like 1,000 people in the live session. That wouldn't be good for us, right? So the last thing I want is for somebody to do what I'm doing, but like on a bigger scale, which I'm trying to avoid. So yeah, all right, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I think that's it for today. We made some pretty good profit. I don't know if there's more profit that was posted. Yeah, we got Johnny over here. Johnny's like an oil rigger. This dude locked in 2,400 while at work. Nice work, Johnny. So solid profit right there. And again, for my profits, I locked in 26,000 for the day. Not bad. For the week, I'm up about like maybe 20,000 or so because it was a break-even week for me for the most part. Just one win today. But yeah, I mean, other than that, let's see. Yeah, Nick said keep in mind that if we're still using basically Nick said keep in mind if we were still using basically any other strategy that would be 1 to 3. So 1 loss of the strat to be equal to 3 losses on this strategy. So taking 2 losses in a row is nothing. Exactly. And I prefer to do the 1-to-1. I've always been a 1-to-1 trader. I just switched to a negative risk reward because that was what was working at the time. At the time during COVID, that was like hot because you could take every single trade and I'll be up like 5, 10 wins a day. I've kind of changed a bit, right? My risk appetite's changed. I like to just have consistent profits every single day and never putting myself at risk to like blow the account. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys back here on Monday for